Hello, creatives community and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. And today, this week, for 5 days, we're going to go over the what's and whys of tabletop role playing, fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons, other games when it comes to combat. And we want to discuss, and we're going to discuss up to 20 of these, both for outcomes and obstacles, opposition, conflict, the reason why we're even engaging in the combat in the first place, whether we want to or not, and some of the outcomes of that really allow us to take our combat from being against a green screen or in the volume and making it far more dynamic instead of just rolling initiative and dice for which side dies first. Maybe we want to get a little bit more dynamic in it. And so I thought we would take this, take it apart. And of course, this first 5 to 10 minutes is going to be an opportunity for you to write this down, steal it, or even come back to this. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about this for about an hour live if you'd like to join us. So first intro, and then let's get into the whys and whats for inspiring you to make much better and dynamic and memorable conflicts. So, in the title, we talked about objectives and outcomes. And by the way, this isn't the only reasons, but I do work by a few simple principles and have been role-playing for over 40 years. So some of this can be narrowed down to only a few things. And on this channel, I've often talked about the term TERS. I've often shared this term TERS. And it is an acronym. Let's see if I can. Oh, here we go. It's an acronym that just means TRSE, and I usually use this as a default for thinking of ways to threaten the player characters, and not always. It also gives me an idea of when to roll the dice, why even roll the dice at all if we're trying to say something, and I use this term terse. Now, there is a real meaning for the word terse, and that is like curt or brusque, abrupt, clipped, blunt, gruff, short, brief, whatever. Okay, there's synonyms for that. And it kind of applies to the reasons why we would even want to roll dice and how we navigate these conflicts. But for me, it starts out with time, energy, and resources, TER. And the SE stands for social status and economics. In other words, when we want to have a reason for rolling the dice, and the reason for rolling the dice, of course, in most tabletop role-playing games, not all of them, but many role-playing games, tabletop role-playing games, we have combat. We want to grab that D10 or D20. We want to grab a dice pool or whatever, and the tension rises if we use things to make that tension. And so using time as a threat, energy expenditure, threats to resources, mind you, whether all of these things are personal to the players, their own resources, their own energy. And as I wrote, there are things like for time, it's like countdowns, timers, tension, pressure, foreshadowing an event. And I like to foreshadow an event, whether I use it or not, it depends on the energy of the group. But I love to foreshadow things on the horizon, some kind of danger or thing happening, whether it's a collection of people turning into a mob, or a storm, or collapsing bridges, or thunderstorms, sandstorms, disease. Give the players some kind of foreshadow that there's danger on the horizon, and it gives me the opportunity to pull the string on that, to press that button on that, and actually make it a mechanical thing in the game. Energy the exact same way, whether it's like exhaustion, endurance, stress, some kind of gain points, whether it's like inspiration, moxie, hero points, fate points, whatever. Sanity is another one for energy. Resources, using things like equipment, food, water, tools, connections, and yet again, whatever gamified meta points or something expenditure in the game. Social status can also be threatened, like being hunted, exiled, pariahs, mistaken identity, blamed for something, reputation, and then of course economics, whether it's coin, money, valuables, stash, favors, titles to land, or stakes in some kind of resource or whatever, and threaten those things. But let's get our chat group up here. But today we're going to talk about the top 20. There's not top 20. They're in no particular order, but we are going to talk about number 17 to 20, and we're going to count down to 1. These are in no particular order. We're going to talk about objectives and outcomes. And is this too? This is too large. Let's get the scaling, pop the scaling down just a little bit. All right, so we're going to do 4 of these, 4 objectives and 4 outcomes, and talk about them. And you can put them in any order you want, and feel free to steal these. The first to the left, our list are capture, escape, breach, and steal. And these are objectives. So instead of just players rolling randomly, it's goblins, bandits, whatever. They make a left turn. They see them somewhere. If we're using a blue screen, green screen, and I say that with some derision, because it's like oftentimes we want to say a place is dangerous, but it really isn't, because you could replace it with a desert or a hallway or a cliffside or a beach. And for the most part, if it doesn't have any physical or mechanical effect, it could be anything. So you could just replace it with a green screen or a blue screen and it wouldn't matter. And we're trying not to do that any longer. And then to the right, we have our list of outcomes, such as Escalate, Reactive, Silence, and Annihilation. And these are prompts to get you to think about, like, well, what is the objective of the battle? And we're going to talk about movies and television and other media. And then what's the outcome of engaging in this fight? And this idea was brought up last week by individuals in the community over here. And I thought, you know what? There's enough meat here to talk about this all. Exactly there, yeah. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, this is a hell of a says good morning as well. This is a hell of a topic, because combat mechanics is the biggest turnoff in D&D for a lot of people when it bogs everything down and gets computer gaming. Yeah, button mashing, like I do 3 points, you do 12 points, I do 27 points, you do, and nothing else really happens sometimes with the button mashing. So I promised about 3 to 5 minutes. I've already broken that rule. But I want people to be able to tune in and just turn right back to the channel, get what they want at the very beginning, and get the hell out. So let's quickly go over these and then go into some more depth. So objectives. Why are you in a fight in the first place? And we're going to use the prompts capture, escape, breach, and steal. So capture. One side or the other is trying to capture something. For the players, it might be capturing a Pegasus because they want to bring it back for a wedding gift, and they've been tasked with getting a giant eagle egg or a Pegasus or a griffin, baby griffin or something, and bring it back. And that may be the objective for the capture. The capture could be bounty hunting. Criminals have escaped from a supposedly inescapable prison, and I mean, whole television series have been shaped around capturing evil people and bringing them to justice. And the objective may be to capture something has escaped. The enemy may be trying to capture something else that crosses the player's path. Maybe they themselves are trying to capture that that innocent unicorn, and the players are defending the unicorn in the Feywild or something like that. Um, but the win condition isn't necessarily the fight to the death, and we want to get away from. You can hear him in the background, right, Drew? Yeah, you can see like running around here in a little blank spots behind me, a little kitten in the background. So, but yes, unfortunately, there are our mainstays, our D20 fantasy games tend not to have rules for, or very implied rules for non-lethal activities, but this is where being creative comes in. As a matter of fact, maybe the players are given things so that they can capture the enemy and put them into a cage or stasis or something of that nature. And mind you, this could lead to lethality. We're not talking about non-lethal combat specifically. We're just saying that using the rules you have and allowing players to be very creative. Next is escape, which many of these will overlap, so be aware that these are not funnels, these are not hard and fast things. We're just using these as prompts. Escape, this is so common. Players escaping from a prison, enemies trying to escape. This could be a notoriously dangerous zoo or something by some wizard or alchemist or whatever, and some or all or enemies or mutated monsters or whatever have escaped from their cages, and the players may be like, well, okay, we don't know what's there, what escaped, we don't know what capabilities they have, let's investigate this and then go capture those things and bring them back. And there may be perfectly logical reasons why you don't want to murder kill the thing that has escaped and you want to capture it. Maybe they were it's the classic story of the werewolf, where the innocent person transforms into a murderous monster, but you don't want to kill the individual in question. We also have breach. Yeah. Escape of the kittens. Yeah, exactly. Exactly there, Drew. Something very innocent may have escaped or gotten out or whatever. Or maybe something very dangerous has gotten out to the public that doesn't know. The players know how to handle the thing, but the innocent people do not know how to handle that thing. Zoo, a reminiscent of roguelikes. I don't know what that means. I don't remember that. There's also breach and steal. Breaching, getting past a wall, a barrier, it could be the aftermath of a storm and you need to get on the other side of something. It could, yeah, breach your heart. We've got an hour or so I'm pretty sure they'll be up here on the lap pretty shortly. At least Brutus. Brutus is a consummate climber, and I can hear them too. But it could be a breach of faith and trust. It could be so some of these don't necessarily need to be physical. It could be emotional, social, mental, psychological. Yeah, exactly. And then stole your heart. Oh, and stealing something. Mind you, these can be applied to the players. Heists are always a big deal. We on this channel we talk about Blades in the Dark all the time, and Blades in the Dark is a game specifically about being a criminal, and getting into heists is very common. So players stealing something may be the win condition, not necessarily killing all of the evil things. Okay, so using those 4 prompts, when I say win condition, what I mean is whether it's just a simple, this could be a campaign, but we're just talking about simple interactions, right? Why are the bandits or the goblins attacking the party on the road? No, it wouldn't be to the death. They're here to steal something, or maybe they've escaped from somewhere else, or they're trying to breach someone's defenses. Players that are in, if you do a military style engagement in your game, breaching something could be very important. And breaching doesn't necessarily mean like putting explosives explosives up against a bank vault, although it very well could be. But it also could be that, there they go in the background. It also very much could be, maybe there is innocent people are trapped, and you need to get into the past the debris after a major flood, and getting into conflict with some enemies isn't the smartest thing to do because they're innocent people that need to be rescued. And so here's some outcomes of getting into a physical confrontation. And mind you, like I said, these aren't my favorite, and they're not in any particular order. They're not alphabetized. They're not best to worst. These are just, we're going to do 20 by the end of the week of both of these, and you can mix and match these as you will. So what are some outcomes that can happen with a conflict? Well, things could escalate, and escalate is extremely generalized. So escalation is what's happening now, and with a bit of, make sure you foreshadow these things, meaning like make sure you let the players know that things will escalate or may escalate in the future. But escalation can be anything from reinforcements to the floodwaters getting worse, to darkness rolling in, starships or comets or something entering the atmosphere, radio signals saying that bombardment's about to start. Escalation can be anything, earthquakes, avalanches, rock fallings, collapses, shatterings, anything that will make that right now it's not as bad, but in the future it's going to get worse. A forest fire or abandoned building on fire is a good example of this. A mechanized factory that is slowly starting to grind itself to death, and chemicals start spilling, and mechanisms start falling, and robotic arms start grabbing randomly. Yeah, Rogue, an early CRPG. See graphics, random generated dungeon crawl. Sometimes you would walk to a room, there'd be 50 monsters in it, and they called that a zoo. Big tangent. Oh yeah. The idea that you would just walk around the corner and it'd just be random things there, and there's no reason why it's there, and that's a true random dungeon, right? We're not. There's a reason why you would use random things like random tables or random encounters and whatnot, but you don't want to use them willy-nilly. You want to use the proper tool for the job at hand, right? Another outcome of getting into a fight, and mind you, escalation, the purpose of escalation is to basically alert the players to say, do you really want to keep engaging in this fight? Because things clearly, if you don't move on, are going to get worse. So an example would be, let's go back to military, right? We've seen this plenty times in movies and television shows that focus on this. Our heroes could engage in a battle right now against an equal or even underwhelming force. But if reinforcements are going to continue to show up, it's not smart to get into this one fight knowing that we could easily dominate it, when we know that there's 15 fights happening back to back to back, and our chances of survival, that if we lose, just step back a little bit on this, there's going to be reinforcements. Okay, there's 5 enemies, there's 3-4 of us, we could easily mop the floor with them. But if 5 more keep showing up each round, 5 more, and then 5 more, and then 5 more, and 5 more, then if you don't literally wipe the floor every single round with 5 more coming, then the escalation, you're not moving anywhere, you're treading water. And things could be happening in the background where it's like, no, we've got more important things to do, such as these other objectives that we mentioned over here on the left. We have reactive. Now, reactive, I just used the prompt reactive in that it's an if-then statement. And I've written some books called The Cinematic Environs. You can check them out on Drive-Thru-RPG. And each category has an if-then. Like, if the players do something, if the players' characters do something, then something else will happen. And reactivity could be extremely environmental, meaning like walking across a frozen lake, or a sand dunes that might have quicksand or depressions in it, or a swamp with gases, or a volcanic region where the ground is thin and gouts of flame might go up. Yeah, 5 more Agent Smiths per turn. Guess we're playing the Matrix Reloaded. Exactly. Why are you still sticking around? You can fly away there. Why are you there, Neo? You don't need to beat ass. There's no. Anyway, it bothered me a little bit. Love the scene, but it bothered me a little bit at the end. I was like, wait a minute, that's right, you can fly. Why are you still here? Anyway, but yes, things could get. Was it Hurly Burly? They called that scene with the Agent Smiths coming in. Reactive regions themselves could be something like every time you step on a crack, a mama's back breaks somewhere. Whatever, something dumb. But this may be hazardous, physical hazards, reactions by the public. If the players are viewed doing their beat-assery and the public sees them, maybe people might not like the players soaked in blood because of how brutal or dangerous they are. So actions and reactions. Silence isn't necessarily a like spell-like effect where people can't hear. What I mean by silence is that the outcome of this may or may not silence a voice or a goal or a personality or a political view or public discourse or something. Meaning, like, maybe the enemy is doing something to intimidate the public, and if the players fail, the public will not talk to the players, and they will be their voices will be silenced. They'll know, wow, the greatest of us got their asses kicked. I'm gonna shut my mouth and go about my business, put my head down, and not say anything. The opposite could be as well. Maybe the players' characters' voices, not opposite, but it could become from the player characters. Maybe the player characters are rebels, and they're going from village to village, town to town, region to region, to gain allies. And one of the outcomes might be that those people go, nah, we're not going to join you. No. We saw what the enemy did to you. I'm out, right? We are not giving you resources. Our voices are silenced, and that's it. Silence can also be dangerous if the players engage with the enemy and then the enemy goes silent. Maybe the enemy's very bold and brash and loud and easy to find, and if they go underground, this might not be the thing to do. Like, getting into a fight now might cause the enemy that's very good to remain hidden in the background, and they go silent, and now the players have not only a hard time finding, but now they don't even know who their enemy is. They could be anyone. Doppelgangers, evil spirits, possessors, shape changers that are hidden in the population. That's one of the dangers in Marvel superheroes. They have the shape changing scrolls, and of course trying to find them. And there's of course been large storylines where you find out that a hero that's been heroing for years has actually been undercover or got body snatched or something like that. And then there's Annihilation. Now, yes, we like to throw around danger and Annihilation in our tabletop role-playing games, but when I refer to Annihilation, I mean that maybe an important MacGuffin or a location, a person, place, or thing might be annihilated if the players fail. And so, and that annihilation may be such destruction you can't get that back. And so an example may be there are 7 keys to unlock the 7 truths or virtues or something, and each key that is destroyed will ensure that virtue is removed from the world. This is real big, heady, Planescape type stuff, right? And the virtue of, I don't know, kindness or temperance or justice or honor or something may be destroyed, and the players may literally be battling for the fundamental aspects of the background of the very nature of the world. And if love or care or justice or honor is destroyed and you're busy fighting and you're not trying to stop the annihilation of these keys, maybe honor's destroyed and everyone and everything is just deceptive, they're liars, they're backstabbers from now on. And that's just big heady things. Let's get to something more simple. There's an important tome and pages are being ripped out of the tome of justice or something. Maybe the players need to annihilate something, and the only way to annihilate it, I don't know, a magic ring with runes written on it that, when held up to the light or something like that, maybe it needs to be thrown into a volcano from which it was forged. I don't know. I've never heard that story before. And you can't stop it, but it needs to be annihilated. And there's only one place or one thing or one person, or you really don't want to use the word one. There's only a limited way for us to destroy such a thing, and that is the goal. Also, many times with these objectives and outcomes, it's less the players, but more the environment, or the people, the places, the things in the environment that may be far heavily altered or impacted by the players' failure to concentrate on those things or divide their attention. And rest assured, listen, a lot of these things will split players' actions on purpose, right? Because players are going to say, I don't have enough. They're going to have a hard choices. Do I split my attention, or do some of us focus on one thing that some of us would claim to be non-active, and then others of us would focus on some other things that would be active. Oh, it does allow me to do that. All right. So, again, picking an objective like capture, escape, breach, or steal, and then mixing that with one of our outcomes. What kind of outcome will come? Will we escalate, react? Will there be anything that's reactive, silence, and annihilation? And we can mix and match these as well, and mix and match them as we see fit. Right? Again, foreshadowing the escalation that what a very common thing amongst fantasy are scouts. The player characters are behind enemy lines, and there's plenty of scouts or patrols going around the community. And so, sure, the players could very easily beat ass on some of the scouts, but maybe if they do that they know that if they take out 3 scouts, that they will alert the community that we need to increase our patrols. So now the patrols went from 5 to 20, and along with a bunch of, like, dare I say, upper level, higher CR monsters. Like, for example, 3 scouts may be very easy, but a group of 15 might include hunting displacer beasts and flying on the back of giant bats. And of course they have an arcane caster and two of the faithful who worship the evil Dark Lord or whatever with their own special tainted gifts or whatever. And the players are like, damn, we just made it worse for ourselves. And that should be a threat. That should be a choice. Now, do some players not care, or have they been trained, dare I say, even conditioned, a Pavlovian dog response that all encounters must be balanced, and of course we can just roll dice and we have a 78% chance of succeeding because that's what a balanced encounter is, to untrain them and go, no, you made the decision to engage in this thing. Here are some outcomes. And you can, I would suggest with a foreshadow, if the players don't get it, to tell them that I'm letting you know if you kill these guards or scouts or whatever, it's easy, but it will escalate the dangers against you because they'll know that to look for who or what you are out there. You're so silly. Because I got Black Panther in the background. Black Panther is right next to, right there. Although you can't really see him. But he's over there. Levels, we don't do that here. Yep. Yeah, we do not do that here. You don't have to bow to me. But hey, maybe so. So, um, going into I'm not going to hold you guys too long because I did want to make this a little bit of a series, and so we're going to do this throughout the week and show how a little bit more dynamism in terms of why we're getting into a fight in the first place. And while you can very easily have a kill or be killed encounter, even if you role play your enemies or your adversaries, or your animals or mindless things even as well, that our first objectives with capture, escape, breach, or steal, they could very well talk about these things. You know, the most boring classic thing: players are on the road, bandits surround them. Maybe they're trying to steal something specific. Maybe they have an etching, or there's someone in their group that's blind, but I know it when I smell it or when I feel it or something, right? And they're like, we're trying to get the crown jewels, we're trying to get the MacGuffin, the person, the place, the thing, and steal that thing. Well, you can't steal a place. Well, kind of. You could capture it, though. Capturing could be like capture the flag, capturing the high ground, even if you want to put that with a person, place, or thing. And remember, let me go back to the... let's go back to our terse definition. This is the basis of all the other stuff we're going to talk about. Use time, use energy, use resources as a obstacle for the players. How much time do they have to engage in this thing before the bad stuff happens to them? How much energy are you expecting, or what kind of mechanical features will you put into the game to get them to expect what kind of outcome? Are you measuring things, for example, by time? Are you measuring things round from round, day to day, week to week? The shorter the time span, the greater the pressure will be, especially if the loss, the win condition, is difficult to meet. So an example would be that you want to capture a classic evil wizard is found dead and has been experimenting with monsters that have escaped from their cages and prisons. And there's limited evidence as to what these creatures are, how they've been mutated, and whatnot. And maybe them leaving, they have limited time as these various monsters start attacking the public. And the players now need to capture them because we need to find out what their aspects are. What is it that makes them dangerous? Maybe there's a time scale because the escaped monsters are going to breed, or they do a cell division and grow like single-celled organisms or whatnot. You know, what's going to happen there? The energy that's expended to do the thing. Can the players keep operating 24 hours a day with no sleep and no water and no food, no rest to stop this? Or will they take the time and relax, even though they know there's dangers happening in the background? What kind of resources are going to need to be expended to capture the enemy and whatnot? So on and on and on, figuring out how to use these different aspects. Of course, the players escaping, win-loss conditions can be with these objectives. For example, you can literally tell the players, instead of using hit points as a measure of life and death, just use hit points as a stress mechanic, right? When you drop to 0, you will be captured. And the next step is escaping. And in that way, you can actually make this kind of like what would you call, like a run and gun, a race or a travel log without it necessarily being the same thing. Meaning, like, you could have a montage of events and then apply the objective instead of just hit points, right? So you could say every time you reduce the enemy down to half its hit points, you can breach the walls. And maybe breaching, you let the players know, oh, from your point of view, you realize you're going to have to succeed against the breach 6 times. All right, well, are we going to add hit points to this? Are we going to do successful skill checks? Things like that. Shai says, what do you think about combat descriptions? Which I love. Um, such as if you roll a hit, roll for damage, and then the DM makes you describe what you did to him, and you keep it all in character and tune out the mechanics. I tend to fall that way, even in games that don't have it. So Fantasy D20 does not have anything like that, right? Like if you, no matter what you roll, no matter what you roll, you're either going to succeed or fail. There are no differences in it. And no matter how much damage you do to the enemy or the enemy does to you, it's not like you're going to get a sprained ankle or whatnot. But I internally, house ruled, have always done the bloody condition long before the bloody condition came across. So yeah, like an enemy, you know, the PC wants to ram a spear through a flying creature's wing, then I would, if they describe it that way, I would put that in as an in-game kind of thing. Now, I think you're also mentioning, like, are we counting hit points, or are we kind of like letting it fade to the background? And we're just talking about being bloodied, bruised, concussed, pierced, things like that. You can try, but games that don't have wound levels or conditions, when it's just numbers, it's kind of difficult to do that, because your hit point loss is rated at a percentage of from 100% down to 0, and with different types of damage types and damage numbers and hit points, it can get a little bit like, when you're down to half hit points, what does that look like with a 300 hit point creature or a 27 hit point player character, right? It's like, I don't know. I mean, half is kind of half, but I mean, and then there's no mechanical features related to it. Like, are you know, are you pierced or is it bruising? I prefer players to describe for themselves that kind of thing, but yeah, in classic games that just use points, it can be a little bit different. Drew says, I think that not rolling for attacks might be helpful in allowing players to describe their attacks without having to worry that the dice will foil them. Yes, and that's also, what's a good descriptor for this? Some indie games have you roll once to describe a host of things to do. So again, Powered by the Apocalypse, Blades in the Dark, Forged in the Dark games. Yes, I know I'm bringing it back up again. They aren't the only games that do this. But you could have players roll and go, okay, you rolled and succeeded. Now tell me what happened, and then describe, like, okay, what's the success failure rate? Is it partial success, partial failure? Are we yes-anding, no butting? And then let the players just describe the thing. And honestly, if players are badasses, I don't bother having them roll. Even in combat, it's just like, I know you're 7th level, goblins don't matter, just tell me what you did to them. Now, the outcome, like we're talking about objectives and outcomes, not rolling dice and having the players beat the ass of bandits is one thing, but will that escalate the situation? Will that, will there be a reactive element to them? Will the player's actions cause a reaction somewhere else? Will the other bandit kings or something, the bandit king and the bandit queen go underground and now the players have a hard time finding them, right? So the outcome of a thing should also be very important as well. So yeah, dead bodies in a dungeon mean something. Drew says, my Heartbleed does that as well. You roll 4 dice and those determine the whole scene for your character. Yes. And also it gives us the opportunity to add in third-party elements so that we're not just making fun of players. So, and I've never liked the idea that when a player fails, it's because they're incompetent. No. It could be a change of events, right? Like the player that commits the heist that breaks into, hey, I'm a perfect locksmith and I open up the chest and get the missives out of the chest. No, you did the thing, but maybe there's a complication added to it. Like, you grab the crown jewels, but it sets off an alarm. you grab the important information, but you find out that it's encrypted, or it's written in invisible ink or something, or you need a cipher you need this. Now you need to go after the cipher to figure out how to read the encryption or something of that nature. That the member of the Shy Squad. Yeah, that's often why we have discrepancies with hit points, right? Like if I do 8 points of damage with every longsword hit, am I doing the equivalent amount of damage to my target, even though my one target's got 13 hit points and the other target's got 300 hit points, right? Yeah, I know. We don't. Yeah, again. One Eye Heathen says, I need to grab a shower and go to bed. Everyone have a nice time of day. Yes, we are in different places around our world. So thank you very much for being here this morning, afternoon, evening, overnight. And tying it back to the topic today, one of the dice has to be the outcome of the scene for the character. Yes, Drew, I really appreciate that. Yeah, tying it back, an outcome... When like as Drew was talking about her Heartbleed system, when rolling the dice, now we get to decide. We already know what the dice represent, so you can't say something succeeded where it really failed. But what we can do is navigate the scenes to add elements into it, and then the narrative becomes the physical elements that are in the world, right? So if there's a wagon somewhere and there's no stats for the wagon, we just said there's a wagon there, and a very strong player says, well, can I flip the wagon over and use it as cover? Well, if the player, I don't know, let's say we want to say they make their roll, or it's going to take you using the terse, my terse thing. Hey, you can roll the wagon over, but if you fail, you know, you're either going to have to try to do it next round, or depending on how great your outcome is how long it'll take you to flip the wagon over. And the player may go, I don't know, maybe I don't want to do that because it's going to take me 3 rounds to really get my feet under it and turn it over. And by that time, we're going to be overrun. But if, let's say, you don't bother rolling the dice at all, and you go, you're strong enough. Hell yeah, barbarian. Of course you can flip the wagon over. Now they flip the wagon over. Now we've got cover in the scene that didn't exist there before, right? There was a prop and a narrative, but now it has a mechanical feature, which is cover, you know. And maybe that cover gets set on fire, which means the narrative happens, it gets set on fire, and now we have a mechanical thing. Well, how much damage does fire do? How long is it going to take to burn the wagon down? We could look up the hit points of the wagon if we want to, but it was filled with hay, so maybe that's kind of more of an accelerant. Smoke could also be an obstacle, choking hazard. It could also be cover, etc. I stick a torch into it and light the torch, use that and run away in the darkness or whatever. All kinds of things. So guys, thank you so much for just letting me go through this. And we're going to go through these prompts. As a matter of fact, let me show you, heading into the future, like tomorrow, we've got some more, you know, outcomes, objectives and outcomes, just prompts to figure out, well, what is the objective of this conflict? Are we trying to, you know, tomorrow we're going to talk about an objective of sneak, convince, decoy, or protect. You know, being a distraction. Decoy could actually be distraction. Maybe. Decoy's probably better. But anyway, because that's a little bit different than distraction. But anyway, and then some outcomes. We talked about reinforcements with the escalation. Maybe we're going to get specific with the reinforcements. Also fatigue, exhaustion, that kind of thing. Collapse of buildings. The collapse of innocence as they're trying to run away. Infestation, disease, poisons. Maybe something happens, something insidious happens, whatever. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But getting back to our current objectives and outcomes, we are using capture, escape, breach, steal as our objective, our win condition. the enemy might leave if they realize that you've already or changed their tactics, because we already realized that the player characters stole the crown jewels, the MacGuffin. If the enemy has stolen the thing, there's no reason for them to stick around. They're gone. Maybe the players don't realize that they have something in a backpack, and while the players are rolling initiative and going like, I want to murder kill the bandits, the other less combat oriented bandits sneak around, steal a backpack, and leave. And that theft, and that theft is the win condition. There's no reason for them to stick around. If the bandit enemies have captured an NPC that the players are like, I don't care who they are, we're a caravan, and they capture someone and they steal one or more of the people and they leave, of course they're gone. Why would they stick around? Unfortunately, we do have game mechanics that make it like opportunity attacks and disengagement and things like that actually make it incredibly difficult to retreat. But you could just do a house rule and go, all right, guys, listen. If you want to take the retreat action and get the heck out of the combat, you can do so. But the entire group has to do the thing. And you go, okay, we're just going to retreat. One I heard, and I wish I could remember the person's YouTube channel and give them credit for this. I apologize. I didn't make this up. I'm stealing it. Is the idea that a retreat action is an action where the whole group says we're going to retreat and disengage, and you say okay, but there's a cost. So each player could give up a very minor thing, or one player can give up something major. So a minor thing might be, I give up my rope, and someone else says I drop my torch, and someone else goes, I drop a purse of silver and copper. Like that, each person gives up something minor. Something major might be a magic item, an ally, an important ally, a pet, no guys, I'll pay the cost. You guys know I love my McDarky Dark Dagger, but I end up dropping it and leaving it behind. And that could be a whole story unto itself. Maybe the Orc Chieftain now carries around Shadow McDarky's player character's Dagger of Death, and they want to get it back. You never want to drop a pack of ramen noodles, ever. Hey kitty, come on. Yeah, I'm gonna grow this channel to 1.5 million with your ASMR purring. I don't even know if you guys could even hear it. Anyway, this is Brutus. Thank you, Brutus. I really appreciate it. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for Kitten Cam as well. I really appreciate that as well. Please use the objectives. Come up with some other reasons why you're even engaging in the combat in the first place, and use these prompts. Capture, escape, breach, steal for the win condition, either for or both for the player characters and the enemy. I mean, it would be kind of cool. Yeah, it would be kind of cool for the players to be on both the players and the enemy want to steal the crown jewels. Yeah, right. Yeah, the ramen you drop save your life, die from sodium. See, I don't use the sodium. I don't use the little flavor pack inside, like after you do it. I sometimes use it inside the boiling water and then drain it off. It's still not good for you. But ramen, cheap ass ramen. Still love it. The real objective is to follow on Twitch or subscribe on YouTube. Well, that would be awesome. I don't ask anybody any calls for action. I don't know why. Come on, like, share, subscribe, follow, notify, let other people know about the channel. Bring your brilliance here to the channel as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, do that kind of thing. You're tuckered out because your sister's tuckered out. Oh, she is so breathing. Lastly, for your outcomes, come up with a number of different outcomes for what will happen if the players do not engage. Maybe it's actually not really good to engage with the enemy for this reason, or maybe engaging with the enemy will cause side effects and what is it called? Second order and third order issues may come about because of the player characters engaging in the thing, and maybe they make the decision to engage in that thing anyway. So, yes, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. We'll let you guys go relatively early. Also, thank you very much for just engaging. I really appreciate it. And we're going to talk about some other things. I'm a bit prepared this time. It took me about I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so to come up with some of these outcomes. We've got Tuesday, we've got from 13 to 16, and then Wednesday we have some more outcomes, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then lastly from here. So yeah, we got this under control here. We tend to sometimes be professional. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times out of the month. I don't know. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for just being part of the creatives community and kind folks that are over here on this edge of the interwebs. And we'll get into it. So, guys, thank you very much. Have a great day. Oh, you want to get down? All right, kitty. Go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, you want to tuck? I appreciate that. Anyway, guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace and tranquility. Bye.